Cheers, friend.
Cheers.
It's delicious water. It really is.
Water's life.
Thank you, Proud Source Spring Water, for sponsoring the Sugarshack stage. And thank you, Beebs, for an amazing session this morning.
Oh, thank you guys for having me.
It's 1:50 in San Diego, but right now it feels like 9:50 for me. It's day 2.
Dude, I know the time change messes me up. 5 o'clock, I'm ready to go to bed.
It's
time for sleep.
Yeah, I have a 5-year-old, and it's very disorienting when it's like 6 a.m. wake up call.
Yeah, it's really weird, but I feel like we're animals too, right? So if it's 5 and it's dark and I feel like I'm supposed to hibernate and it's winter,
go to bed.
I feel like I should just go to bed. You know, I'm not going to push past it. I'm not going to fight it.
So what time do you normally go to bed?
It varies on the creative project.
Okay, right, sure.
You know,
but your day-to-day, do you have a day-to-day routine?
No, I'm working on it. That's one thing I'm learning. I'm always growing and learning.
You know what is, I feel like we're working on these things to try to bring structure, but I feel like as artists sometimes it's for me it's the opposite. How do I unstructure, create more fluidity in my life to create more creativity?
Yeah,
because some of the structure for me makes it really light.
Right, and that's the same for me. I do have somewhat of a structure. It's very important that I have to wake up in the morning, water the garden, feed the chickens, get the chicken eggs.
So you live on a property like this.
Tell
me more about.
I have a mini beach farm.
Nice.
Where I have my music studio, my art studio, my tie-dye studio, a mini farm, because this is what I think about music. I'm sitting on probably 200 tracks right now, 3 different projects, and they'll all come out in their time, in the time they're supposed to. And people have been rushing me, Beebs, hurry up and put out all this new music. And I'm like, I already gave you 6 albums. That's more than most people put out in a whole career.
Right.
Just give me time to make art. I don't like to create art on demand. You know what I mean? It takes time. And so during this time and during the time where we all had off, we all just had 2 years off. I studied a lot of permanent culture, which is sustainable,
familiar.
Construction, food foresting, building soil, because the one thing I really loved and learned in the time we had off was that music is for the moment, right? It's for us. Before we started recording music 100 years ago, who was it for? It was for whoever was there, to be present, to sing together. And even now when I go out to a lot of festivals or shows, people said they miss live music so much, but they're just talking over it or looking at it through their phone. And I'm like, where's our presence and our appreciation for each other's voices and vibrations? And, so that's what I really loved, because when we were live streaming, it was just the band. We were just vibing, you know what I mean? And it felt so good. So I just decided that also, aside from learning presence and staying in those spaces, it was important to learn how to sustain life, everyone's running around like the sky's falling. I'm like, okay, we don't know how to do anything. I need to learn some stuff.
Some skills how to survive.
I need to learn some skills.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so
this is the smart way.
Right.
This is the smart way to respond, I feel like, to crisis and pandemics.
It's like, I know the sky's falling. It's like, the global warming, stop buying stuff off Amazon. Recycling, stop buying stuff off Amazon. Food, our food, organic. It's like, grow some food, and it's not like I can't grow all the food, you know what I mean?
But if I can start somewhere.
You got to start somewhere.
Exactly.
And the one thing that I learned that was so good for my mental health and in regards to gardening in itself is it takes time for things to grow. And that's what you were reminded of when you grow even one seed or, one plant. You don't yell at that plant the whole time, like, why aren't you food yet? Hurry up. No, you talk to it.
Screaming at it's not going to make it grow better.
And you love it and you say nice things to it and then it grows. And then I found myself during our time off, counting tomatoes in the garden, how many tomatoes grew today? After living on the road for a long time, that's not ever something I thought that I would be very excited about after living this very exciting life. But it was so fulfilling and taught me same for myself, same as I need to give the soil nutrients. I've been studying vermiculture, which is building soil through worms, composting and composting, building the soil, because in order to have nutrient-dense soil, you need you need all the bacteria and all the little
like
bugs.
Death, decay, regeneration.
You need regeneration, and you need all those microbes in the soil, and it's the same thing for our own bodies. You know what I mean? Like, we need all the nutrients and love and things that we need for us. We can look healthy and not be healthy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And same thing for a plant. A plant can look like a plant but not be nutrient dense because
of the soil.
So it's just taught me so many things about my own self, or my own mental health, and how I need to pay attention to my body, you know. And the big one now is, you know, prioritize yourself. It's not bad to be selfish. You know what I mean? Like, I can't be of much good to anyone and spread love and joy and all the things I know that I'm here to do if my vibration's chaotic, because I'm letting all these other things like put me in stress.
Right. Like balance, setting proper boundaries and finding good structure.
Yeah, exactly. And there is, like you said, you know, it's hard to have structure when you're an artist because you need to have room for the flow, the ever flow. And so that's kind of why I have a hard time with routine, is like, I want to leave my day open in case someone calls, like, I really need to come make a track today. And I don't want to say, it's feeling creative. I want to hold that space. Right. And, you know, they say time is money, and time really is money, because I need time more than I need money. Like,
there's
money,
a higher premium on time.
There's a higher premium, you know what I mean? I don't like being in the studio and being on the limit of a studio clock. I need to be able to create effortlessly in the structure of no time and no rules and the universal language that is music, you know what I mean? And so these things, and music comes from conversations, deep conversations you have, or we're always in a rush, hustle culture, hustle. I need time so I can, like, say hi to the lady at the grocery store and ask her how her day is, while 10 people are behind me going, oh, I'm in a hurry up. Why is this lady talking to the cashier?
It is.
You know what I mean?
Like, I mean, it's like a minority, though, when you're in such a fast-paced culture.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like you really are a minority to slow down and go. It's constantly. I mean, it's interesting. What do you think about this? Like, for me, I guess I should give you context. Some of us on our team live like this. You know what I mean? I'm trying to move more towards lifestyles like this.
Yeah.
But you're always against the grain of culture, it seems. Fast-paced culture.
But that's okay, because that's what leaders do, you know? No one, like how Michelle Wolf says, you know, no leader is like, hey guys, let's go do this. I'm following you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you just gotta...
Right, we do the harder things and model it for people.
Yeah, and you know, in this time, there's you know, they say we live in a multidimensional universe, and we do. It's ever present and ever, you know, it's very palpable. Like, you can be in video game world, you can be in the internet, you can be here, you can be there. There's all these subcultures. It's hard to stay present. There's so many distractions in the age of technology. You know, we're all addicted to our phones, you know? And
totally.
And so I've been doing these, you know, no phone shows and just trying to do healthy things that, you know, bring that mindset, you know? It doesn't, we're taught that everything has to be scalable. It doesn't. Like, things can sustain in very small groups when people are really supporting each other, you know, and everyone's a little piece of the puzzle. And that's how it is with live music. Live music's the only place where all the frequency doesn't get compressed. You get all the full force of what those frequencies are for that healing. And there's no place that's ever going to take the place of that. But you're also, it's that audience interaction. It's looking at people. It's everyone experiencing each other's energy in the same place. And so it's great that we get to record and give a piece of that vibe, you know, to people that weren't there. And as close as we can. And I love Sugarshack for that, because they're so focused on sound quality.
Yeah,
you know?
and 100% live.
And 100% live, you know, the mistakes, the flubs, all the imperfections, because I learned that imperfect really means I'm perfect. It's okay. Like, I'm in the classroom of earth. I'm here to learn.
Totally.
You know what I mean? No one's going to have it all figured out at any point in their life. We're just here to learn.
Yeah.
And the sooner we become conscious of that, the sooner everything stops being such a crisis. Because you're like, oh, okay, instead of like, oh, this is messed up, it's like, okay, what am I learning from this?
Well, and it's an opportunity to take responsibility, right?
Yeah.
And just like ownership, like, okay, this is the situation. Like we were talking about earlier with the pandemic. It's like, this is the situation, but what am I going to do about it in my life? And like, how do I respond to this rather than react?
Right, exactly. Yeah. And that's the thing. I think we need to be less reactionary and more compassionate to ourselves and to each other, because I think the one thing that no one's really talking about is it did change us. It changed us all, and whether we choose to acknowledge it or can see it, it did change us in some way. And it's good. We all learned that we can slow down. And around 2015, I somehow adopted the sloth as my spirit animal. And I just like, they're cute and they're like little aliens. Like, how can you not believe in aliens? Look at a sloth, you know, they're crazy looking. And I didn't realize at that time that it was setting me up for this real representation in my life that I needed to slow down. You know, I've always been doing the most and going in a million different directions and just going fast. But where am I rushing to? You know, I want to take time to enjoy the journey. Sometimes things in my life have been a blur because I was moving so fast.
Right.
I barely remember. I wasn't present. I was there, but maybe I wasn't present because there was too much going on. And so, you know, the sloth is teaching me to slow down, you know? And it's like being real gnarly about it. Like I straight up second degree burned my hand last week because I wasn't slowing down, you know what I mean? Right. And I was like, instead of freaking out in that moment, like, how could this happen to me? I was like, should have slowed down.
What kind of spirit animal would I be? If you had to, on the spot, guess.
I feel like, let me look into my eyes. An albatross.
An albatross?
Yeah.
Do I have the character? Do you know much about an albatross?
No, but I don't know. That was like,
that's what came to mind on the spot on camera. I love it. Albatross.
Look it up.
That's awesome. We can after. That's pretty awesome.
You can ask the Oracle. It'll tell you everything.
That's so funny. Beebs, what are you up to? I mean, you did a session. You've worked with Sugarshack in the past, but this is the first time I'm meeting you. So give me a little bit of your history and just who you are as I know who you are as an artist now. I understand that. But give me your history as with the shack. Sorry, I just totally it wasn't a microdose this morning, so I'm just trying to.
California's a wild place.
Tell me your history with Sugarshack. Let's start there.
First of all, Sugarshack, thanks for making your name a real tongue twister. It's hard to say 3 times in a row, but
Sugarshack sessions.
Okay, let's try it.
How many times?
3. Try. Ready?
1, 2, 3.
Sugarshack sessions. Sugarshack sessions. Sugarshack sessions.
You have to do this to work here for us. So
yeah, I couldn't get the job. I wouldn't qualify. Sorry, guys. I'll just be an affiliate. Yeah, I grew up in Florida. And in a place called Indy Atlantic, which is like the beach side of Melbourne. And grew up, my band that I toured with a lot before was Beebs and Her Moneymakers. And I did a Sugarshack session with them in 2015, 16,
It's all a blur
15?
for us, right?
I don't know. Was there time before the last 2 years? I don't know.
It feels that
way.
Has
it been 2 years? It feels like 10. I don't know. But yeah, I went down to the shack. To the Sugarshack. With the gnome and everything. I wanted to make a tie-dye gnome for today. I miss him.
Nomeo.
Nomeo, wherefore art thou, Nomeo? And I went down there and did a session, and that was right when I released just my own, the Beebs album, after 5 Beebs and Her Moneymakers albums, and I performed some of those songs with them. And then together, the last time we saw each other, we realized today was 5 years ago.
Wow.
When we did a Sugarshack session at Standard Collective with G-Love.
Cool. And you just, I guess back in 2021, I saw that you had a song with G-Love.
Yes, I released a track with G-Love from G-Love and Special Sauce called Helium. I wrote it. It was myself, G-Love, and a good friend, Kayla Jasmine, wrote that song, and Red from Red Gold Green and I produced it together.
Awesome.
So yeah.
And what are you up to these days? A lot, right? You're like, oh.
I just immediately want to go in sloth mode. I don't know.
I would go in albatross mode and fly away.
I'm like a bird. So again, the gardening, making a lot of music. I just released I just had 2 feature tracks come out. One with my brother Nico he just released an album called The Adventures of Young Viejos, and I have a track on there called Cold Blooded. And then I just have a track on K-Bong's new album. I have my new album, Grow Realize His Own Worth.
Sick.
And a couple other projects. Nico and I have a 3-album project coming out called All the Kids, and I have a super band project that was created during our downtime called Everybody, which combines members of the Agrolites, myself, Parliament Funkadelic, the Expanders. Like it's a pretty cool project,
super
and
band.
It's a super band, and we recorded it all to tape. It was my first time recording reel to reel.
Really cool.
Yeah, so I'm very excited about that album. I think we're gonna release a couple of the live sessions that we did for a New Year's live stream a couple years ago. So we're going to release that for New Year's. It's going to be really fun. Cool. And yeah, for the most part, just not being in a rush and just letting life happen and you know, allowing space for the flow. And so if you want to keep up with, and I have my clothing line, which is where all the tie-dye comes from. Awesome. I make all this, and that's Beebs Boutique, you know. So I stay busy, but at my own pace, because the sloth gets all the things done. They live, they just move, they have babies at their own pace, you know.
That's awesome. Well, it sounds like you got a lot you're doing right, and thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank
amazing
you so
session,
much.
Amazing conversation.
Thank you, and welcome to the Sugarshack team.
Hell yeah.
Yo, yeah.
Yo,
that's a wrap.
Sugarshack. Sit back, relax, 'cause it's time for another podcast.